Christian Wissa, unknown comedian, with another episode of That's Fucked Up. On today's podcast, we have a very hilarious, super funny guest. I'm actually going to a show she's hosting tonight, which is Saturday, which doesn't matter to you, but she's hosting a show tonight called Hard Lemonade. $10, you get the address sent to you. We're doing underground comedy. It's great. Anyway, the very hilarious Monarey Martinez, everyone.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to do my little vanity project that I call a podcast.
There you go.
All right. So I have a very simple prompt for every guest that comes on the podcast. Monarey, tell me something that is fucked up.
About myself or about anything that's fucked up?
Anything. It could be you. It could be something that happened to a friend. It could be something that you researched, like the lives of octopus.
The lives of octopus. I'll try to keep it not because I like to do conspiracy theories a lot, and I feel like everybody's on conspiracy theories, and I'm like, this was my thing, okay? And now we're all doing it. I think the most fucked up thing that I seen recently is one of my friends. He's back home in Kansas right now, and he went hunting for the first time. And he just sent me a bunch of videos of how they skin the animals and the birds. And there's basically this. It just looks like a sharp tool. And it's just kind of sits on the, just on the ground, and you shove the animal through the throat, and you just shove them right through it, and then it just skins or takes off their, I don't know, their feathers or whatever. And then they were just everybody, he just had the video, and he's videotaping it, so it's not a random video. And you just see everybody, they're just all nonchalant. They're oh, how's your wife? Oh yeah, Tammy, is she gonna be at the thing? And I'm as they're just handing out animal guts and just getting it on their faces. And I'm okay, that's a little gnarly. But then he was saying a lot of rich people go there to hunt because, rich people can't feel things unless they kill people or animals, whatever. And so he said that this one group of guys, they've killed up to 10,000 birds this year. And I'm
what?
I don't know anything about science, but it's I feel that's unnecessary to kill 10,000 birds for sport, but I don't know, man. But I was that made me sad. And then I went and made eggs, and I was I feel guilty. But yeah, that was this morning what I was woken up to, and I was okay, maybe God wants me to be a vegetarian. I don't know.
I mean, it has a very old world charm to it, just sitting there shooting the shit while skinning an animal. Yeah. It's was there someone else in the background tanning leather?
Yeah, no. He went with his grandpa, and and it's funny because it's he's his grandma's Korean and his grandpa's black, and they live in Kansas, and they're super they're just redneck still. They're just all in their camping and hunting gear and all with their guns and all, and it's just funny to see that, and you're oh, okay, so that's just not old white people that do that. That's everybody that just doesn't live in LA and New York,
Nah. I've always wanted to go hunting. I mean, I grew up in North Carolina, and it was just being able to source my own meat,
right,
and prepare it with my own hands. There's something very appealing about it. But then it's also much easier to go to the grocery store.
Right. I think it's cool. If people, I do think there's, a very grounding experience doing that. And I think it's, kind of in our DNA to be hunter gatherers or whatever the fuck. So I do think that's cool, but I think just anything, you're okay, you can't be too much just about sport. Just let's just go kill some birds. I'm yeah, I mean, if you're eating it, or I don't know, do people eat birds? Is that stupid? But yeah, I just, I don't like seeing the, the throat thing. I was ooh, oh, okay. It was very nonchalant, and I was that is an animal with metal through its mouth, and that makes me feel bad. But yeah, I was not to be somber. I'm animals are dead. Anyway, just kidding.
I mean, we built a whole industry around it, so.
Right. We all need protein, so Jesus ate fish, whatever.
Oh my god. Like, it's like, I don't want to go on one of the, like, I actually respect anyone that can do vegan or vegetarian, because that level of discipline when meat is tasty, like,
right.
Salute to you.
And easy. It's so easy, and it's so convenient, and it's so cheap. You know what I mean? Like, fish is more expensive, and, you know, like, meat, it's like, it's just right there, and you're like, yeah, like, I could just put it in the oven for like 10 minutes and it's done. And it's like, if you want to make garden burgers, you're like, you gotta cook mushrooms, and then you gotta put it in the blender, and then you gotta add some shit so it all sticks together. It's like, and I get why people don't do it, but I'm like, I don't mind if people eat meat. I just don't want to see how it happens. I'm like,
it's made.
Yeah, I was like, keep me out of the loop.
Yeah, people don't like seeing how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
Even though I used to work in the meat department.
Oh, really?
Funny enough. Yeah. I used to cut meat and do all sorts of fun stuff with it. Like, used to use a bandsaw. I was legit gonna become a butcher, and then and then I got back into college and left that life behind forever.
Yeah.
But no, it was like I got a deep appreciation for meat, like working in a meat department.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. Like, we do, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a nutritionist, but it's like, I think you need protein, and like, I know you can get protein from animal sources, yes, but like, I know that there's like certain things, and like, you know, it sounds bad, but like eating like tissue of like other animals, or like the collagen from other animals, it's like there is like a bunch of like health like benefits. I just think like the amount that we eat it is probably wrong, just because there's so many people with like heart disease and, you know, cholesterol problems, so it's like we're probably eating too much meat. But you know, that's, I think, mostly because of like fast food. As soon as like fast food became a thing, everybody was like, you better start killing those cows because people want burgers and Happy Meals. And then that's why we're all fucking dying. But whatever. Just kidding.
Yeah, we're gonna die anyway.
Yeah.
Not to sound too fatalistic.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, it was like the last like couple episodes of this podcast, we've always ended up at like talking about death.
Yeah, we're all gonna die.
It's kind of weird.
I mean, it's the one guarantee in life. It's like, well, I don't know anything, but we're definitely gonna die. That's for sure. So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I was just hanging out there waiting for you.
Right.
Like, so enjoy life while you got it, because you never know when it's gone.
Right. That's why, absolutely. That's why you should completely enjoy it. You're like, hey, you're gonna die. It's not that serious. Relax.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I love meat. Like, working in a meat department, like, I worked at a bougie specialty grocer.
Yeah.
So just a bunch of rich people coming in asking me some dumbass questions.
Right. I bet.
Like, is this meat gluten free? I was like, oh
I
god.
don't know. You're like, I don't. I'm not. You're like, next. Okay.
Like, my favorite is when they would come up to the meat counter and then ask me, is this the meat department? Like,
you're like, do you see a bunch of dead carcass everywhere? Then
Well,
probably.
there's a giant case full of meat right between you and me.
Right.
Like, you're literally like right up against it. Like,
yeah. Do you see the snout of a pig? It's probably the meat department. Do they sell? I don't know. I haven't been to the meat department in a long time. I'm like, do they sell pig snout at the grocery store? I feel like if you go to like Asian markets, like I always go to like H Mart in K Town. They always have like pig feed and just like you know stuff where I'm like, okay, people cook that. All right, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, like no, Asian market, that's where you get your cheap meats.
Yeah, well, that's also where you can get like cheap like healthy foods, because if like a lot of healthy foods are very like common, like say goji berries or something, but it's a trendy. So if you go to like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, it's like $20 for a fucking bag. But if you go to H Mart, because goji berries are very common in Korea, it's fucking like $10. And I'm like, you can't trick me, Whole Foods. I know the fucking deal. But yeah, H Mart is where it's at.
Yeah, that was one of my goals in life. Make enough money that I could shop at Whole Foods and not cringe.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Whole Foods has some shit, you know, like they got they got raw cookie dough that you can eat that like, because I used to eat cookie dough all the time, and then I got food poisoning one time because you can't eat raw eggs apparently. And so I was like, dude, they need to make edible cookie dough, and I manifested it because they started, this is years ago, I was on raw cookie dough way before it got trendy. But now everybody is making raw cookie dough, but there's only one good brand, and it's at Whole Foods. And it's like in a little, it looks like a jar of butter, and it's like a blue and a red one, and it's fucking fire. It's the only one, and it's only at Whole Foods. So enjoy.
Yeah. Nah, I've been baking since this whole pandemic thing started, so super into making cookies. I make like chocolate chip cookies like every other week now. My roommates are sick of it.
Yeah. Well, they sound fucking selfish. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's just that because I take up a lot of space when I do that shit.
Gotcha. I was like, if anyone's baking cookies for me, I'm never going to get sick of it. I'm like, you freeze them, you give them away, you bring them into work, or you pretend like you bake them so everybody thinks you're nice. There's stuff to do, you know?
Yeah, I never brought cookies into work. I brought, what was it? I think I brought like pie. No, it was an apple crisp. I brought an apple crisp to work.
There you go.
Yeah, like I started making crisps because I was high one day and I had like leftover strawberries and then some stuff, and I was just like, what can I make with all this stuff into Google?
Right.
It was like, you can make a strawberry crisp. So I was like, fuck, I'm making this.
I didn't even know that you could do that on Google. Just like put in a bunch of ingredients that you have and it'll prompt a recipe.
Like, that's what I thought happened. I was high, so my recollection of events is not reliable.
Okay, no worries. But yeah, that should be an app where you just like put in like a bunch of things that you have, and you're like, give me a recipe. You're like, I have cornflakes, 2 batteries, a pair of old eyelashes. What can I make?
There is a website where you can do that, actually. I forgot what it was. I'm going to look it up right now. Yeah, you can enter like any random stuff you have in your pantry, and it'll spit out like any type of stuff that you can make.
Oh, I love that.
Maybe I felt.
Yeah, maybe you found that. Yeah. That's a great idea, honestly, because there's so many times where I'm like, I have hot sauce, I have noodles, I'm like, I have cabbage, and like leftover fucking, Panda Express. What can we do?
Yeah,
I think there's one called Super Cook. I don't know if that's the one that I use though.
Yeah, I was like, I literally just sit there and just like, well, this is what I got.
Yeah.
Let me put some salt on it and saute it and make it taste okay.
Yeah.
And anything that's canned, I'm just like, oh, let me chop up like some onions and garlic because I always have that on deck.
Right.
And it'll make canned food taste better.
Yeah. Yeah. I always have rice noodles. Rice noodles are fire because they cook in like 2 minutes. But I always just eat the same things because I genuinely, I like to cook if I'm cooking for other people. I don't like to cook like by myself at all because I'm like, I just want to eat as fast as possible. I don't want to make that big of a mess, and I don't want it to like take up so much time. So I'm like, I just always eat the same things over and over. And then like if someone comes over or something, I'm like, I know how to make, yellow curry. And then like I'll cook, but for the most part I eat. Like if people saw, they'd be like, dude, you eat like you're in prison. Like you can, season this or do something. And I'm like, no, in and out.
Yeah, like I did like this weird thing where I've been trying all these stupid fucking diets, and then one of them had me cooking every fucking day, and I was just like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I gotta do other things with my time.
Right. Well, especially once like when you do stand up, and like once like stand up is like back at the level that it normally was at, it's like, dude, you're gone from 5 p.m. till 1 a.m. You're like, what are you? I don't have. I'm like, I can cook myself breakfast and like, make a lunch, but it's like after that, but still like I don't even get hungry till like 12 or like 1 p.m. in the afternoon. I've just always been like that. I'll wake up and I'll have like I make like an elixir. I don't want to brag. But it's basically like a tea with like a bunch of healthy shit in it. But yeah, it's like I don't even get hungry till like 1, so I'll eat like one thing before we do stand up, and then it's like, but then I get hungry, and then you always have to like buy food, and then it's just like, that's the one thing with this quarantine. It's like I've been saving so much money, like not doing comedy, because it's like we're always spending money on food or always spending money on drinks or like, and even if you get free drinks, you still tip, obviously, unless you're a piece of shit. But yeah, so I just feel like I'm like, man, I've been saving so much money, like not doing comedy.
Oh yeah, like no, comedy's a net loss for me.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. So.
I don't even want to figure out how deep I am in the hole.
Right.
Yeah, like it was like weird. I did Whole30 while I was doing comedy.
Oh wow.
And somehow I made it work.
Yeah. No, that's hard. It's very hard. The Whole30. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I did is like I would just cook large portions of Whole30 approved stuff.
Right.
And then just like carry it all with me to work.
Though there's so many times where I would literally just have a like lunch bag, like, because I was like, dude, I have to like stop spending money. This is like not cool. I would have like a, you know, like a little mini cooler or like a lunch bag with like ice, you know, like ice packs or whatever in there. And I would like store food in there and I would just like eat it in between mics. So I would just like eat like a sandwich or like a salad or like whatever healthy thing that I made. Because I'm like, one, because all the food that you eat in stand-up shows or stuff, super unhealthy. And two, you're like spending fucking $20 a day and you're like $600 a month just on like one meal a day, let alone like your other shit. You're like, no, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I think what I did, like that system that I ended up working out is I would have breakfast and then like I would prepare my lunch and dinner like the day before somehow. I don't know how, where I found the time to do that. And then I would take both of them to work with me. Because I worked in Hollywood, I just basically like worked out of my office like a hub.
Right.
So I would just leave my car there and then like Uber to wherever club I needed to go to.
Right.
Take the bus. And then like before I left, I would eat my final meal. And then, like, if I had to go to a club and get a drink, it's like, oh, yeah, let me get, like, ginger beer or something.
Yeah.
Since, like, you can't do alcohol, but then you can't do ginger beer either. I don't even know what the fuck I did.
Yeah.
Just
water and lemon. Yeah.
Oh.
See, I love water. I don't, like, so many people are like, ugh, I just can't drink water. And I'm like, I don't know. I think because I grew up poor, like, and I was so used to only drinking water that, like, when I started drinking pop, I was like, and people are like, ugh, well, pop's cheap. I'm like, yeah, but water's free, dumbass. So like growing up, we never had pops or like Capri Suns or like like we didn't have anything, you know, like we were on like food stamps. So it's like we got just like exactly like what we needed, and I just drank regular water. So like now when I try to drink pop, I'm like the carbonation. I'm like, dude, this is clearly fucking poison. But I'm like. So in ways I'm happy I was poor because I didn't have like fruit gushers and, you know, like goldfish snap. Like I didn't have cool stuff. Like I still ate bad food. Like I basically ate ramen noodles, SpaghettiOs, and mac and cheese and hot dogs. That's like all I ate growing up, and water, and Hamburger Helper. I was like, can't forget about Hamburger Helper. But yeah, so I'm like, I'm happy I grew up poor because like I didn't get to get all those like yummy nasty treats that I probably would have got addicted to. But I did work at McDonald's. That was my first job, and I do have a very very secret relationship with McDonald's. It's my little go-to, you know, my go-to sad time.
Oh, my McDonald's love is pretty well known.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of mad at them for getting rid of Orange Lava Burst.
Yeah. I'm still mad that they got rid of the Reese's McFlurry. I worked there when they got rid of it, and I was like, what are you doing? And they're like, we're getting rid of it. And I was like, what manager do I need to call? Like, where on the corporate level? I was like, who do I need to speak to? Because this is, I think, a mistake that you're making. You don't get rid of the Reese's fucking McFlurry. They did it. They got rid of M&M.
Yeah, M&M would have been the first one.
Yeah.
They got rid of the Butterfinger one before they got rid of the Reese's one. I was just like, what?
Yeah. Well, and I was just like, okay. I was like, M&M's, first of all, they fuck up. It doesn't even look nice. Like, the color comes off of it. And then because the M&Ms get so cold, they get very hard, and it's like the chocolate's not enjoyable like that. And I'm like, Oreo, yeah, Oreo, it's a hit. We get it. Oreo's the star. You know what I mean? It's fucking Jennifer Lawrence. It's all about Oreo. But Reese's, that's America's hero. It's disrespectful to get rid of it. And they did. And I fought very hard, and nobody backed me up. And now we're here. Still. No Reese's. I
still love McDonald's Sprite.
Yeah.
It is the strongest Sprite in the known universe.
Oh, I never noticed. I was always an orange high C girl.
Yeah, the orange lava burst is also very great and no longer on the menu.
Oh, is it not?
Yeah.
Oh.
They got rid of the high C orange.
Wow. At first I didn't know what you were talking about because I just know high C orange. That's what I call it. I did not know that. I worked there when they first introduced in my time at McDonald's, talking about it like it's my college years. When I was at McDonald's, I was there when they introduced the McGriddle. Thank you very much. I did my part. I did my service. I was also there when we introduced the salads. Like, I remember when, like, the salads came in, everybody's like, dude, what? Like, and they, like, had to train us on it, and they had, like, a corporate trainer, and they're like, okay, it has egg, it has bacon, and then the people take the lids, and then they shake it, and we're like, this is crazy, and they could get either the grilled chicken or the crispy chicken, and we're like, dude, I was part of some monumental... I was also at McDonald's when they started to go 24 hours, because McDonald's used to never be 24 hours. That was, like, never a thing. But in the 2000s, McDonald's started going 24 hours, and, there's a lot of drunk people who need to thank me, because I got you through it.
Yeah. I don't think I was at Chick-fil-A when anything monumental happened. I know that they were testing spicy strips and spicy nuggets, and apparently they didn't test well. I was like, where are you testing this?
Yeah.
Are you testing this in Vermont?
Yeah.
Of course it's not going to do well in Vermont.
Right.
There's nothing but white people in Vermont.
Right. Yeah. They changed the chicken nuggets too. I was like, sorry, I'm like getting all these McDonald's flashbacks. They used to have like the chicken nuggets used to be kind of like a similar breading of like Wendy's, and then they changed it, and it's now that like coated, like it almost looks like it's like a case for the McDonald's. It's like an iPhone case, but like chicken nugget breading. They're like and shove it in there. But yeah, I remember when they switched the nuggets, not happy about it. I liked the other breading better, but apparently it's white meat now, which I was like, I don't think this is meat. But yeah, McDonald's, that was my very first job, and I hated that job, but they gave us a little company card, and you could take it to any McDonald's in the world, and you could get 50% off for like you and however many people you were with. And I remember like me and my friends, we used to like in high school or whatever, and like I lived in Buffalo, so it's like there's only 3 places to eat. It's like Taco Bell, McDonald's, or fucking Wendy's. And then there was like Olive Garden and Red Lobster, and that's like only if you're like after prom or something. But I remember like whenever we would like go and like grab food and we'd be paying, and I'd like throw down my McDonald's card. I was like, I got this. And everybody's like, what? We get 50% off? And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of a queen around here. But yeah.
Yeah, my first job was at it's a southeastern grocery chain called Food Lion. For some people that don't know, I was a bag boy.
There you go. I worked at a grocery store too. Yep.
The job fucking sucked.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like working any job where like that should be, instead of like home and careers, people should work like just low level customer service based jobs like McDonald's, a grocery store, a car wash, like something where you have to interact with all sorts of people, because you're dealing with rich people, poor people, old people, young people, drunk people, sober people, children. Like you deal with every single human being. everybody should have to like work those kind of jobs, because it's like, one, they are high stress. Like, people don't understand that. Doing anything in customer service where there's a lot of people like in and out, I'm like, it's very stressful, and you're dealing with so many people's personalities that think that they are important and that you are just some like, you know, peasant to them. Be like, I said, and it's just like, oh my God, I would get in so many fights with people all the time. Like, they'd be like, this coupon's not working. I'm like, this coupon is expired. And they're like, so? And I'd be like, and I would just like throw it in the garbage. I'm like, there's nothing I can do. And people would be like, you need to get your, I would get in fights all the time with people. Like, they would be like, you're out of this. And I'm like, it's a store. Do you think it's just, we're just have a hose that's like backed into the fucking supplier and it just comes through? I was like, or do you think it comes on a fucking delivery truck from a different state? We're gonna run out of some shit, lady. But, yeah, people are just, they're just dumb. They think that they are the only thing in existence in the world, and when something they want is not available, or people would come in and they're like, I still want to order breakfast, and I'm like, you know, it's 12 o'clock, you know, breakfast ends at 11, and they're like, yeah, but you guys still have the stuff, and I'm like, next. Like, I just wouldn't even like engage with them. I'm like, okay, so who are the people who have common sense? I'm gonna take your order. But yeah, customer service jobs they are the heartbeat of this country, and they get no goddamn respect, but have to put up with all the bullshit of, you know, human beings, and they need to be thanked.
Yeah. What I used to do at Chick-fil-A, because you're supposed to say my pleasure with everything.
Right.
Like, when someone pissed me off, I would say you're welcome very passive aggressively.
Yeah.
And they would get so offended.
Yeah.
That's why I knew that white people were going to vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the first like week I worked there, I ended up on the counter by myself, and a tour bus with a bunch of kids came in. And by the end of that day, I was the best cashier at that Chick-fil-A because I had to take all of those orders.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and people think that these jobs are so easy, where it's like, you just push a button, and I'm like, no, I remember, because again, this is like in Buffalo, New York, so it's like during lunch, there's only 3 places to eat, so it's like we would have it looked like a nightclub at McDonald's at lunch, like there. It's like, you have like 4 lines of people, and you have 2 cashiers, then you have a full drive-through, and it's like, and it's fast food. It's not like, hey, you know, you're sitting at a table and we're going to come out and serve you like a restaurant. It's like, no, it's fast food. So everybody's supposed to be getting their shit in 5 minutes. And it's like, there's 400 of you and 7 of us. So let's do math. It's like super shit. Everybody's running around, like just trying to get like fried and trying to get a bag and trying to make a milkshake and trying, you know what I mean? And then they start doing coffee orders and shit, and I'm like, so I'm a barista, a server, a dishwasher, and a cook all in once for like $5 an hour, and you're like, and I'm getting yelled at by people's fucking toddlers with sticky fingers and shit. I'm like, ugh. Yeah.
Oh man, I still get triggered when I see a minivan.
Yeah. Oh my God. So many people don't know, like, I would get put in the drive-thru all the time because they're like, you're not happy enough to work the counter, and I'm like, good, I don't give a shit. So like, just go in the drive-thru. And people don't know, like, on that intercom, when you're not talking, we still hear everything going on in your car. Like, I would have so many people like come up to the window, and I would hear them fighting with their kids, and they're like, Benjamin, you better get your fucking shit together. I'm going to have your dad beat your ass. And I'm like, hi, welcome to McDonald's. And then they're like, hi, sweetie, can I have 2 Mighty Kids 6-piece Happy Meals? And I'm like, uh-huh. And then I remember one time this kid, like, the mom pulled her van up, and the little boy was like, I was like handing them their drinks, and he's like, Mom, I said I wanted a Diet Coke, and he just like kicks her chair, and I could not help but just like laugh in this like woman's face. I was like, dude, your kid is literally like owning you right now, and it's hilarious. And we would just have so many stories, like so many regulars, like people who peed their pants and would come in every day and order the fish fillet. Like, we're we're just like, yep, there's P. Mike, and he, he smells like piss, and he sits in the booth for an hour and asks for a fish fillet with sauteed onions. I still remember his order, with a side of tartar sauce. I'm just like, yeah, those were the days.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember one time working drive-thru at Chick-fil-A. This this dude used to come around a lot, and he like got familiar with everyone there. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Yo, is Sarah on there?" It was like, "Is Sarah in?" Instead of ordering food, I was like, "Can I help you?" He's like, "No, let me speak to Sarah. She got a fat ass." I was just like,
"Oh my God." We used to have this.
Like, bro.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, bro, this is a Chick-fil-A. We're not that type of establishment.
Yeah, we used to have this one guy. It's so funny because from McDonald's, I then went on to, I worked in restaurants, and then I started bartending, and I'm like, all the places, I worked at a I've had a bunch of crazy jobs, but I'm like, I've always had so many like regulars that like come in. Like when I worked at the gas station, I used to work overnights, and like, I would talk to the milkman, the Pepsi man, the donut man, the gas man, like all the people, like all our like different vendors. But I remember like I had my drug dealers that used to come in, 'cause they used to come in and get money orders because they couldn't like deposit or whatever it is. But they would come in, they'd get their money orders, and then like the cops would like come in, and I one time had a cop pull over at the time he was my ex-boyfriend because he cheated on me. I was like, here's his license plate, see if he's ever doing anything wrong. He wasn't, but I'm like, whatever. But yeah, like at McDonald's, we used to have this like one regular, and his name was Frank, and he just had an old McDonald's cup, and this is like before, I think, yeah, we would do like free like refills, and it's like usually like if you're at the restaurant, you just get a refill, but he would come back, and he would come all day. So he'd start in the morning, like 10 o'clock in the morning, and he'd go through the drive-thru, or sometimes he'd come in, and he would like talk to us like it was a bar, and he's like, hey guys, like, what's up? And we're like, hey Frank, like, here's your Diet Coke. And we're like, how's it hanging? Like, and he would just, he never bought anything. He had that cup was clearly, it had like the Olympics of like 1986 or whatever the fuck, or 1992 on there. And I was like, bro, like, I know that's like Mary Lou Retton on there from USA Gymnastics a long time ago. And he would just come all the time, and he'd be like, hey, and it was the same cup, same old cup, and it was like falling apart and deteriorating, and we're just like, Frank, we'll give you a new cup. Like, we'll still give you your Diet Coke. We know you come here just for the experience to see human beings. And he had these long, like, he looked, you know how, like, people have, like, a Coke nail or whatever? Yeah. But, like, all his fingers were Coke nails. And I was like, what are you doing, Mr. Greedy? Just shoving it all up there? But, yeah, he's probably dead now because he was pretty old. But, hey, Frank, God bless your soul. You made McDonald's interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah. Then, yeah, I worked a lot of jobs too. I worked at a campus bookstore, several grocery stores.
Oh, yeah.
I worked at a mom and pop shop in the kitchen doing prep work.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was...
Oh, yeah.
That was an interesting experience. But, no, I did a lot of odd jobs.
Yeah.
But now I'm a corporate shill. Yeah.
A corporate what? Shell? Oh.
Yeah, I'm a corporate shill. I work for the man.
But you spent so much time in service industry that I'm sure corporate scene. I've worked in an office job like after, because I've bartended, I've worked as like a server, as like a host, I've worked in fast food restaurants, I worked at a grocery store. I've also been a nanny, I've been an assistant, I've been a fucking geisha, like I've literally done I was a fucking madame basically, where like, I used to like book like hookers. I only did it for like 2 weeks. I wasn't a hooker, but like I would link up people, whatever. I was like, I'm going to get commission. Shady job industry out of desperation, and I would get like phone calls from these dudes who were like, hey, get me somebody with a juicy pussy, and I was like, okay, this isn't gonna be the job for me. But so I've done everything, but it's so funny whenever I've worked in an office job, and like it's so tame and so mellow compared to like working in fast-paced like hospitality. And whenever like people would be like stressed about something, I'm like, this is nothing. Like, until you've had like a serving or a bartending job where you're understaffed and there's no manager, he's doing coke in the bathroom and there's a fight breaking out and you have literally like 45 to 50 people in front of your face all yelling to get drinks and you have to make it and you're running out of everything and there's no bar back, and I'm like, you just don't even know like high stress. Like, I know like obviously some people are like ER trauma fucking surgeons and they gotta deal with people with a bullet hole. Like, that's a whole other stress on a whole other level. But like an office job and they're like, we gotta get this deadline by Friday. I'm like, there's no one even in your face yelling at you and calling you like, hey bitch. You're like, you're fine. Like, you have an HR department and a printer and you get a lunch break. Like, there's no stress here. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, that's why I have very little patience for the incompetence at the office that I work at. I'm just like, it was just like, this level of incompetence would not fly at Chick-fil-A, yet you're paying these people so much money.
So much money. And like, I remember like my office job, like just, everybody, what is it called? Like Microsoft Calendar or whatever. Like, everything's just so like easy and like, we're all set up and, it's like, people would be like, I'm like, you're getting 50 grand and it's just like, we're just sitting there and we're emailing, we're doing this. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm glad like it's a good work environment. But when people be like, oh my God, I'm so stressed right now. I'm like, unless you're literally running back and forth and you're sweating and fucking like, physically have somebody in your face demanding this, that, and this, you're like, you're fine. You don't get it. But a lot of those people have never worked a super actual high stress job. I still have server nightmares. Do you have server nightmares still?
No, I think I've effectively blocked that part of my life off.
Oh my God. I know so many ex-servers and bartenders. They're like, do you still get server? Like, we're all like, yes, because that's how much stress it is on you. Like, there's things I'm like, oh fuck. Like, I'll think about it. I'm like, oh my God, I never got him a side of like pickles, like, or something. You know what I mean? You still think about it. And it's like, people don't understand. I'm like, you're one person and you have 6 tables, and 6 tables, there's 5 people at those tables. And so that's 30 people that you're in charge of. And then you do that 4 times in one night. So it's like, you're in charge of whatever the math is, 120 people, whatever, at one time, and you're one person. And it's just such a short window. And that stress like lives in you. You're like, I forgot his Diet Coke. And you're like, oh, okay, I haven't been a server for years. I'm so sorry. Like,
yeah, no, I still like get like PTS triggered.
Yeah.
When I see minivans and tour buses, I'm just like, ugh. Like,
they're all gonna order at once. Fuck. Yeah.
Oh man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, oh God, working in a meat department during Christmas. Oh.
Stressful. Yeah.
That was the one time my boss was like, Christian, you're kind of an asshole. Be an asshole.
Yeah. Put those people in their place. Yes. That was, I mean, I used to get in trouble a lot, but that was like, when people would ask stupid questions, I'm like, this is my specialty. Like, I would, so many people, like, even, like, working at a bar, like, people would, they just come in, and the kind of, like, questions that you get from people will be like, they're like, hey, can you just give me more alcohol? I'm like, yeah, if you give me more money, like, if you pay more money. You're like, what do you think? I'm just judging, like, you get this much alcohol, and like, hey, you get this much. I'm like, no, there's a set, like, standard size of everything, and you're paying for that. And people are like, yeah, can I have more alcohol? I'm like, you think for free? You think, like, they're like, yeah, just like give me a little bit more. And you're like, where's your brain? Where is it? Or people will be like, come on, make it a double. I'm like, then you pay double the price. Like, you just get so many stupid people. Or like, people would come in and they get mad, like, if I'm trying to think of like one of the things that used to piss me off the most when I used to bartend at Jameson's in Hollywood, and it's like a tourist like area, so we would get so many tourists, which is nice because it's like you're always busy, but then you just get like the dumbest like questions like in the world, and they're like, and I get it, but people would be like, so are there any celebrities that come in here? And you're like, You are on Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame where people sell, fake Oscar statues that say #1 dad in the world. Why would any celebrity come into this dive bar? Like, come on. Just shit like that. Like, I mean, which that makes me sound like an asshole, but yeah, you get all the crazies. We would serve all of the like what are the people at Hollywood Highland, like all the characters, like like Iron Man and Pirates of the Caribbean, like those guys would come in all the time, and the guy who like pretends to be Reno 911, the Little Mermaid, and these are just adults, and they're just in there and they're just drinking, and I'm like, I get it, you make your tip money, and they're like, I fucking hate my life, I'm just sitting here pretending to be Marilyn Monroe all day, and they just come in the bar, and like those people, like I hook up, I'm like, you know what, you didn't ask for more alcohol, but I'm giving you more alcohol, you've put that on my comp tab, you've earned it.
Yeah, I just found that rich customers were the worst.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The absolute worst.
Yeah. Usually because they come in there and they're like, they'll be like, it's a dive bar, and they're like, do you have oysters? I'm like, no, but I have a menu, and you can read it and see that you're at a dive bar on Hollywood Boulevard, and it's weird that you're asking for fucking oysters. Oh, they're like, how about, and they'll order like they're like, make me the worst is like when people will order, like I used to work at like nightclubs, and people would order like martinis, and I'm like, this is a nightclub. We don't have martini glasses. We don't have vermouth. We don't have olive. Like, I'm like, it's a nightclub. You get vodka soda or like, we don't have any of this. And people are like, well, let me see a menu. I'm like, it's a nightclub. There's no menu. Like, if you want like a cocktail menu, you go to a cocktail bar. It's a nightclub. There's no menu. There's no martini glasses. There's no fucking ingredients. It's just, what liquor do you want? Plus, what do you want to chase it with? That's it. And people are like, what? Can we get appetizers? And I'm like, so what about nightclub and the loud EDM DJ don't you get? There's no fucking food here. But yeah, so happy to be out of that life.
Same. Like, I was just thinking about like some of the rich customers that we used to have. They were just fucking assholes. Oh god.
So many.
We had this one guy. He always wanted this particular brand of bacon. It's called Newski's bacon, and we used to call him the Newski's guy because every time we'd see him, he'd come in and he'd order 2 pounds of Newski's bacon every fucking time. We knew that was his order, and so.
All right. Who's eating that much?
One time we were out and like we saw him walk in, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm not taking him." Like we had to go in the back and do rock paper scissors.
Like, who's handling him? Yeah.
And then like I fucking lost, and like he went on this whole tirade about, I bought Newski's bacon for 25 years. How did you not have Newski's bacon? Da da da. There has to be some in the back. I'm just like, oh god.
Why does everybody think that? Like there must be some in the back. Like. We're just hoarding all the stuff in the back. Why? Why wouldn't we want to sell it? Why wouldn't we want to get rid of it? Why? What do you think? We're all stealing it, and our bosses are like, okay. It's like in the back. You're like, yeah. There's only one place to look in the back. What do you think? There's the back, and then there's a shed that's like the actual back, and then there's the truck. I'm like, no. There's one place in the back, and there's a shelf, and if I go to there on the shelf and it's not there, it means we don't have it. There's not another secret fucking compartment that we're keeping other stuff. It's like, yeah, I looked in the back, dumbass, and that's why I'm saying we're out of it.
Yeah. Like, we had this giant sign above the meat department that said, steaks cut fresh daily. Right. And, like, every time one of those rich fucks would come in and be like, is this steak fresh? I'm just like, oh my god.
You're like, no, it's been, people will be like, is this good? I'm like, no, it's fucking terrible, and that's why we put it on the menu. We love making bad things because we love hearing you bitch and ordering it and having to comp it off your bill. No, if it's on the menu, it means people believed that owned this establishment, it was good enough to fucking serve you. Yeah, and obviously, if people are like, what do you suggest? What's good here? I'll I'll fucking take you through the whole entire menu. But to be like, I'm going to order this. Is this good? You want me to just be like, no. I'll say, it's that's why it's on there. We don't put anything bad on there. Like, I mean, there are tons of restaurants where I worked out where I'm like, this actually is not good, but no person is going to be like, this is bad. You'll just be like, I actually like this. If this is what you know, if you're in the mood for this. Yeah, I mean, I do try to, like, I would tell people the truth. I'd be like, it might be a little salty, whatever. I'm totally contradicting myself, but whatever. You know the stupid questions that people, is this good, or, I can't, my brain's dying, but yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, is this steak fresh? I was like, yeah, the giant sign. And like, our department was mostly windows. You could see them cutting the fucking steaks.
Right.
And he was like, is this steak fresh? I'm just like, oh my God.
Right.
And they were like, I was like, my favorite thing to do with those people, they would come, they would make me go through all of it, get a steak from them, pull it out, I put it to their face, and it's like, is this fresh? It's like, can you get me one from the back? Instead of arguing with them,
right.
I would just go in the back, throw it on the cutting board, look at them and be smiling, a fake smile, wait for like a minute, come out with the same steak, present it to them, and then they're just like, oh, this is great, thank you so much.
Yeah, seriously. There's so many times, so many people where I'm just like, dude, or they'll be like, they'll order like, this is like when I worked at like fancier places, but they'll order like a wine, and I watched the bartender like pour it and open it, and they're like, this isn't a Cabernet, they're like, tell the bartender, I know Cabernets, this isn't a Cabernet, and instead of the same thing arguing, I'm like, I watched him open the fucking bottle, it's a brand new bottle, and you want to like go out and be like, see this is the fucking Cabernet, what does it say on the goddamn bottle? And then I'd be like, okay, they're saying that this isn't Cabernet, and they're like, show me that. I'm like, oh, I know. And then like we literally just put it in a different glass and then bring it back out, and they're like, this is much better. And you're like, I fucking hate you. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't understand what drives people to do that. Why do they need people to go through all that stuff for them?
It just makes them feel like they're living a fancier life than what they really are. They're like, I know Cabernet. I'm like, oh, did you want to do this little whole thing for your friends, for them to be like, Bill travels and he knows Cabernet. Look at him go right now. They try to trick him and he called the little waitress out. And I'm like, no, it is fucking Cabernet, and Bill's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, my favorite, I used to have to, do, the demonstrations
right.
for, stuff that was on special, not on sale, because sales are for poor people. That's what my store manager said.
Oh, wow, I love sales. I was like, well, I fucking love sales.
I was like, yeah, but apparently sales are for poor people. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, fucking love a good sale.
Yeah.
So, we have these steaks on special, and so I just have to cook them up. And they'll be like, oh my God, what did you season this with? I was like, salt and pepper.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
It's I would literally set up my whole station, have the seasonings on the fucking station. They will be holding the seasonings in their hand and still be like, oh, what did you season it with?
You're like, just the bait. Yeah, you're not really supposed to season steak. If it's a good cut of meat, you're like, just salt, pepper, and maybe at most garlic powder, yeah. But it's you're not really, if it's a good cut, it's the fat and the the what is it called, the crisp, when you sear it or whatever, and it's that nice crust, yeah. That's where your flavor comes from. It's you shouldn't be really fucking around with these things on a steak. I do know about my meat, okay? I don't want to watch animals get killed, but I know about my meat, right? But I hate to cut you short, but I do have to go. I'm doing my show tonight, and I have to go early and set up. And I have to shower and be fucking presentable. But thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you for being on the podcast. Where can people follow you? What type of stuff are you working on? That basic wrap-up type stuff.
Yeah, my Instagram is Monarey M. It's MONAREYM. I have a podcast, The Shamik. I'm right now stacking episodes, so I'm going to be releasing it soon. But it's called The Shamanic. It's basically part shaman, part comic. And it's like a whole healing podcast where we read comics like tarot cards. And it's just all like in good fun. And then, that's pretty much, I'm working on, me and one of my partners or whatever, we write like a satirical magazine called Mox Magazine, and we have a website for it, and we just have like satirical like articles and interviews and like horoscopes and it's all just like comedy based and just like our version if we ran a magazine, like what type of shit would we like to see in it. We're kind of just like poking fun at it, but yeah, moxmagazine.com, and that's kind of really it.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right, so that was Monarey Martinez, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of That's Fucked Up. It's your boy Christian Wissa, unknown comedian, signing off. Monarey.
Bye. Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Sean, producer.
Good night, everybody. Wear a mask.
Yeah, wear a fucking mask, you fucking idiots. It's getting way too rough out here.
I want to have fun.
Yeah, I can't even have Thanksgiving this year. Fuck you guys. I don't want to wear a mask. Anyway, thank you for listening to the podcast, and we're out.